So I'm going to apologize in advance for the glare, but it is a beautiful sunny day here in New Hampshire, so I'm enjoying it so far. I want to say this. I don't know if any of you saw Shawn the Book Maniac's last Friday video, this previous Friday, I guess yesterday. And he was talking about his experiences and his feelings around COVID-19. Shawn lives in Japan, and he and his husband live in Japan, and he was talking about the Japanese people and what they're doing during this period of COVID-19 and social isolation, that sort of thing. And he really did, his thoughts really hit me because he expressed some frustration and anxiety over what the people surrounding him most closely physically are doing about it. And he made a comment that they're not taking it very seriously or as seriously as he believes it should be taken. And I think most of us, or many of us, would agree with him, because we do need to be cautious, and we need to take this as seriously as we can and do whatever we can to slow down the progression and or try to prevent the progression of the virus. All that said, because this particular video is a tag that Shawn originated, and there's a couple more tags that I want to do that I've been tagged in that Shawn originated. So Shawn, if you happen to see my video, my thoughts are with you. These tags are yours originally that I wanted to do because not only are they fun, but I wanted to support you and show you that I saw your video and my heart goes out to you. My thoughts are with you. And I hope things become easier and more peaceful for you as the days and the weeks go by. So hopefully you enjoy the video, and I hope to see another one of your videos very soon. Hi BookTube, it's Kim at K. Becker's Books, and this is a tag for Tag Tuesday. It is the E is for Ending tag, originated by Shawn the Book Maniac, and he's doing kind of an alphabet related tag, not necessarily A through Z in order, but it sounds like he might be picking letters out of a cup or a hat to devise a tag beginning with that letter. So this one is the E for Ending. And I was tagged by Sarah from Hardcover Hearts. Thank you, Sarah. And I am going to be looking to the side because I have the questions on my laptop. And again, I hope the lighting is okay. I've got some glare I can see that I have, but for right now, this is the best place to do a video. So let's get going. The E is for Ending tag, prompt number 1 is, E is for Ending, a book with a great one, and one whose ending sucked. Avoid spoilers, or at least warn us if you can't. So the first one is a book with a great ending, and for me, this one was Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is clearly one of many books with great endings. But this has been all over BookTube. It was in last year's BookTube Prize contest. I loved the book. It tells the story of Kaya, who basically raises herself in the marsh. And it goes from her childhood to adulthood, and I believe she, later adulthood. The ending is so significant and satisfying. I was so happy that it ended the way it did, and I think any of us who read that would probably agree. A book that the ending absolutely sucked, and I mean this sucked big time for me. I made a video for the worst reads of 2019, the fiction version, and this one was on it. And it is Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. This ending royally sucked, and there are spoilers in my video, but I won't put them here. It was a contemporary thriller, which I don't often read, but I like to, in between some heavier things, I like to do that when I'm just looking for something fun and a mystery that hopefully I can't solve. This particular mystery nobody could solve, because the way she wrote the book as a contemporary thriller mystery, she ended it in such a profoundly lazy way that the minute I finished the book, I started swearing, yeah, 4-letter words like a trucker all over the place. And I literally could not wait to get that book out of my house. So it's gone, hence the picture up in the corner. Prompt number 2 is E is for elderly. A favorite or memorable elderly character. My very first impulse was to go and grab Barbara Pym's Quartet in Autumn. All 4 of the main elderly characters in this book were favorites. And I know, Shawn, that you are a major fan of Barbara Pym. She's one of your favorites. I loved this book. Loved all of the characters. There were so many times I laughed out loud, and it's not that long of a book. And then there are other times that broke my heart, and, you know, I felt the tears. I felt it was all the feelings. But every single one of these characters, there are 4 elderly people who work together. They're co-workers. 2 elderly women, 2 elderly men. Absolutely loved it. Can't say enough about it. And I have yet to read another Barbara Pym, but I will. Prompt number 3 is E is for EU. Your favorite contemporary writer post-World War II to now from the European Union, and or one you'd like to try. I've talked about this book ad infinitum, ad nauseum, but it's Milkman from Anna Burns, and I'm not going to show it here because I've showed it all over the place. But she is now one of my favorites, and it's so hard to narrow it down to 1 or 2. You know, I've since read some other great books by EU authors. Daisy Johnson's Everything Under, her debut novel, was a little problematic, but I still have not stopped thinking about that book. I loved it. I just read Sarah Waters' Fingersmith, also incredible. Loved that book. But one of my absolute favorite books I read last year, I think it was in my top 2, was Milkman by Anna Burns. And this one is her newest one. It's Little Constructions. I quickly went through it. It's written completely differently than Milkman, but I cannot wait until I get into April and we've gone through March of the Mammoths and Middle Grade March. This is gonna be probably one of the first books I pick up. Yeah. In the small town of, listen to this, the name of this town, and I have to move my glasses because I'm old and wicked nearsighted. In the small town of Tiptoe Floorboard, the Doe clan, a close-knit family of criminals and victims, has the run of the place. That's the first sentence in the description on the back. That's all I need to know. So I'm going to read that. Now, another one I'd like to try, this is a bind-up of 3 novels and an epilogue, and this is Edna O'Brien's The Country Girls. And honestly, I don't know too much about it. The Country Girls are Kathleen, Kate Brady, and Bridget Baba Brennan, and their story begins in a small repressive village in the west of Ireland in the years following World War II. So, in case you didn't know, Anna Burns is an Irish writer, and Edna O'Brien is as well, but Edna O'Brien now lives in London. Really want to try that. Let's see, I am on prompt number 4. E is for E, a writer you'd recommend whose first and or last name begins with E. I've had this book all over the place too. This is George Eliot, this is Middlemarch. Alba and I are reading this for March of the Mammoths. Enough said. Read this book. The other one is Louise Erdrich. This is The Roundhouse, and she has many, many books that I have read, I haven't read. She's got quite a catalog of books to read. And she's an amazing writer. She's a Native American, and I think most of her books take place around Native American communities and society. Very, very good, so well written. She's a very poignant writer, and I would absolutely recommend The Roundhouse. Number 5 is E is for exploration, a new writer, theme, or genre you'd like to try. Now, and coincidentally, this author's name begins with an E. This is E.E. Knight, and it is Dragon Champion. This is book 1 of The Age of Fire. It's clearly a fantasy novel. And it says, high in the mountains, deep in the safety of a cave, a brood of dragons is born. The 4 young ones are among the last of a dying breed, the final hope for dragons' survival. But hope shatters when a murderous group of slave-trading dwarves breaks into the cave, leaving death and destruction in its wake. Yeah, I do like fantasy. I'm a fan of fantasy novels. This one, I actually bought this one for my daughter because she loves dragons, and I actually do too when they're included in a fantasy novel. And I really wanted, she didn't show much interest in this, so I grabbed it for myself, and I really do want to try it. Oh, let's see. Prompt number 6 is E is for Et tu, Brute, a book in which betrayal plays a central role. I may be so predictable, but The Count of Monte Cristo, read it last year as a read-along with Dee Dee from Brown Girl Reading. I believe this was my #1 favorite fiction read from 2019. It almost reads like a thriller mystery. Intrigue, suspense, betrayal, revenge, a classic from Alexander Dumas. I loved this book, and betrayal is the central theme in that classic. Prompt number 7, E is for exception. A book that you loved or really liked in spite of it containing what? I don't think I read that right. A book that you loved or really liked in spite of it containing what you almost always consider a fatal flaw. I think I just mentioned this. This is Daisy Johnson's Everything Under. Shawn, do I get extra credit when the titles begin with an E and it wasn't part of the prompt? Maybe I do. I don't know. So, Everything Under by Daisy Johnson. This is her first novel. She's written short stories before. And I have never, since I put this book down, I have never stopped thinking about it. This is a retelling of the myth of Oedipus. And you don't have to know, and I'm not well versed in that myth, but you don't have to know the details of it to read and enjoy the book. But her writing, I gave it, I think, a 3 or a 3.5 on Goodreads, simply because of the depth and breadth of her writing. I was blown away by it, and she's a young author. She writes with maturity, and she writes with life experience. However, the book is flawed because she's a little bit all over the place with the storyline. There are aspects of the story that didn't really tie in to the central theme of the book. And the ending was, it was a pretty good ending, not necessarily unexpected if you are familiar with Oedipus. So there were some flaws. To me, it was pretty clearly a debut novel, but I still have not stopped thinking about it, and I loved it, and I will definitely look out for her next book. Number 8, E is for E, a book title with lots of E's. This is a book I haven't read yet. It is Susanna Cahalan's The Great Pretender, and the title, I think I counted, has 5 E's in it. And this is the book, the subtitle on the front says, in 1973, a charismatic doctor convinced 8 healthy people to commit themselves to mental hospitals. They had to prove their sanity to be set free. Their undercover mission would change our understanding of madness forever. And Susanna Cahalan is the author of Brain on Fire, My Month of Madness, which I also have and am intending to read. And that was made into a movie with Chloe Grace Moretz. And the movie was good. I didn't love it, but I am looking forward to reading the book Brain on Fire. And this is her second. Let's see. Prompt number 9. E is for Ever Present. A book you read a long time ago that has really stuck with you. This was long before BookTube. And this was a Critical Chicks book group pick from one of our members who always brings some of the most fascinating and interesting books. This is called Evidence of Things Unseen by Marianne Wiggins. And very quickly, this poetic novel describes America at the brink of the atomic age. Foss, a veteran of the trenches of France, has returned to Tennessee, a true believer in science and the future of technology. On a trip to the Outer Banks to study the Perseid meteor shower, he falls in love with Opal. Foss brings his new wife back to Knoxville, where he runs a photography studio with his former army buddy Flash. When Flash's appetite for pleasure implicates the couple in his lawlessness, Foss and Opal seek refuge on Opal's inherited farm on the Clinch River. But when the New Deal claims the farm for the Tennessee Valley Authority, Foss seeks work at the Oak Ridge Laboratory, Site X in the government's race to build the bomb. Let's see, I don't even remember when we read this in my book group. This may have been 15 years ago. This book was published in 2003, so I think it is in the 15 years ago time frame. This book is brilliant. So if you've not heard of Marianne Wiggins, I hope you have. If you've never read this book, it is astonishingly beautiful in its writing. It is a brilliant story. And for those of you who do shop on Book Outlet, I have seen this book there, so you can get a copy there. But my copy is already, the pages are already yellowing because I've had this for so long. And I kid you not, if I move or if I rearrange my books, I have to know where this one is at all times. Shawn, I think you might like this one. The writing is absolutely beautiful. It's not too long of a book, and you may be interested in the storyline. So actually, this is a good recommendation for you. Prompt number 10 is E is for eliminate, a group of books you got rid of or want to, and why. I actually am going to go through and do yet another book unhaul shortly, but I don't currently have any that I'm dying to get rid of. I've already done that. But I started to read the dystopian novel Year One by Nora Roberts, and I'll put some pictures up here. It's the first book in a series. I'm not sure if it's a trilogy or not. So far, I think there are 3 books out now. And Nora Roberts is typically a romance writer. I have never read any of her romance books. They're not books that I would go to read. However, this one, because it was a dystopian fiction, I thought, you know what, why not try it? And there were several of us in my book group who thought about it and said, hey, that sounds really interesting. Let's see how it is. So I did buy it, and I bought I bought the first one as a bargain hardcover, and I found the second one at a library sale for $1, so I automatically bought that before I even read Year One, which is the first book. I started reading it, and I think I barely got a couple of chapters in, and I'm like, this book is crap. It just was. The writing, I was just not interested in where the story was going. There was a very early sex scene in the book that was cringeworthy and laughable and just gross. And I'm like, no, I'm not in the mood for this. And I have no issues with sex scenes in books, but you know, if they're applicable to the story, and even if they're not and they're written well, then great, that's fine. This one was not. So I got rid of the first 2 books, and then I also got rid of another series of her books that I bought long before that. I'll put pictures of that up above because I don't even remember what those were called. But I got rid of those 2 wicked fast because I just couldn't even think of the idea of reading them. So that was that. That was the last prompt, number 10. Number 11 is E is for everyone, tag extensively. I've said this before, I'm a brand new booktuber, and there are so many booktubers that have done this tag already. Shawn, thank you for setting these tags up. These are a lot of fun, and I hope you're doing well today. I hope you continue to get the rest and relaxation that I think we all are looking for. I hope that you get back to a place where you're picking up a book and it's consuming your thoughts and you're immersing yourself in the story. That's what I hope for you. I hope to see a video soon, like I said before. Send me a comment down below. I think I always say send me, but write a comment down below and let me know how you're doing. Anybody, let me know if you've read these books and liked them. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would appreciate that. And thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye, BookTube.